I found out my mom was stealing from my bank account for years, so I got the ultimate revenge. I, 23F, always thought my mom had my best interests at heart. I was raised to believe that family is everything, that parents sacrifice for their children, and that no matter what happens, you should always trust your mother. Turns out that was a load of crap, at least in my case. I found out my mom had been stealing from me for years. Not borrowing, not using my money in an emergency and planning to pay me back. Straight up stealing. And the worst part, I didn't even realize it until I tried to buy a car. It all started when I was 18. My mom always controlled the finances in our house. My dad worked, but he handed over his paycheck and she managed all the bills. She did the same with me. As soon as I got my first job in high school, she took me to the bank to open a checking and savings account. At the time, I thought she was being responsible, helping me set up my future. I was proud of myself. I was making my own money and saving for college. Except there was one tiny detail she didn't tell me. She had added herself as a joint account holder. I didn't question it at the time. I was 18, had no experience with banking, and trusted that my mom was looking out for me. Whenever I got paid, I deposited my checks like normal and didn't think much about it. For years, I assumed my money was safe. Then last year I went to buy a used car. I had been saving since high school, working through college and living frugally. By my calculations, I should have had about $15,000 in my savings account, more than enough for a decent car. So imagine my shock when I logged into my online banking and saw that my savings account had $86 in it. I thought it was a mistake. Maybe I clicked the wrong account. Maybe the bank had some kind of error. My heart was racing as I scrolled through my account history, and that's when I saw dozens of withdrawals, all labeled under my mom's name. I felt physically sick. She had been taking money from me for years, little by little, transaction after transaction, draining me dry while I thought I was building a future for myself. I sat there staring at the screen, my entire body shaking. Then I picked up my phone and called her. She answered cheerfully, like nothing was wrong. "Hey, sweetie, what's up?" I gripped the edge of my desk. "Where's my money?" There was a pause. A beat too long. Then she let out a nervous chuckle. "What do you mean?" I wasn't playing this game. "My savings account. The money I've been putting away since high school. It's gone." Silence. Then, just like that, she shifted into defensive mode. "Oh, that," she said, her voice suddenly irritated. "I had to use some of it. You know how tight things have been." "Some of it?" I repeated. "There's nothing left, Mom. You took everything." "Oh, stop being dramatic," she huffed. "I didn't take everything. There's still $86, I snapped. "That's what's left out of 15 grand. She had the audacity to sound offended. "I don't know why you're so upset. You live at home rent-free. You eat the food I buy. You use the electricity I pay for. It's not like you needed all that money just sitting there." I could feel my pulse pounding in my ears. "That wasn't your money." "Well, it wasn't just yours either," she shot back. "It's a joint account. Legally, I can use it too." I saw red. This wasn't just some accidental mix-up. This wasn't a temporary loan. She had calculated this, taking money in small amounts over time, making sure I wouldn't notice. And the worst part? She didn't even feel bad about it. I ended the call before I said something I couldn't take back. I needed to think. I had worked my ass off to save that money. I had picked up extra shifts, skipped nights out with friends, and lived frugally while my mom was out there stealing from me like I was her personal ATM. And for what? What had she even used it on? I logged into my banking app again, scrolling through the withdrawals. Some of the transactions were at grocery stores and utility companies, but a lot of them? They were online shopping orders, spa payments, and luxury items. She had blown through 15 grand on crap she didn't even need, and now she was acting like it wasn't a big deal. I wasn't going to let this go. I grabbed my keys, got in my car, and drove straight to the bank. When I walked up to the counter, I forced a smile. "Hi, I need to close a joint account." The teller pulled up my information. "Okay, you'll need the other account holder here to authorize it." I took a deep breath. What if I wanted to remove someone from my account instead? She hesitated. "If you're the primary account holder, you can request to have them removed, but it has to be approved by the bank manager." I nodded. "Then let's do that." After a few minutes, I was sitting across from the bank manager explaining the situation. She listened carefully, nodding as I showed her my account statements. Finally, she sighed. "Unfortunately, since your mother was originally listed as a joint account holder, legally she had access to the funds." I clenched my fists under the table. So she can just get away with it? The manager gave me a sympathetic look. I'm sorry, but you can remove her name and make sure she never has access again. That wasn't good enough. I wanted her to pay for what she did. I wanted her to feel what it was like to have something stolen from her. And that's when an idea started forming in my head. If my mom wanted to take my money without asking, then maybe it was time for me to take something from her. I left the bank feeling furious. Not only had my mom drained my savings, but now I was being told there was nothing I could do about it. Legally, since she was a joint account holder, she had every right to take the money. It didn't matter that I was the only one who put money into that account. It didn't matter that I never gave her permission to touch it. As far as the bank was concerned, my mom hadn't done anything wrong, but I knew better. She had stolen from me. She had taken advantage of my trust. And worst of all, she didn't even feel bad about it. I wasn't about to let this slide. When I got home, she was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened. She didn't even look up when I walked in. "You went to the bank, didn't you?" she asked casually. I clenched my jaw. "Yeah, I did." She finally looked up, rolling her eyes. "I don't know why you're acting like this is such a big deal. It was just sitting there." "Because it was my money," I shot back. "I worked for that. I saved for years, and you just took it." She scoffed. "Oh, please. You still have money in your checking account. It's not like you're broke." I wanted to scream. She had wiped out 15 grand, and she was acting like I was being dramatic for caring. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. "I removed you from my account." That got her attention. She sat up straighter. "What?" "I went to the bank. You don't have access anymore. You can't take another cent from me." For a second, she just stared at me, processing what I had said. Then she laughed, like this was all a joke to her. "That's cute," she said, "but I don't need your money anymore anyway." I narrowed my eyes. "What's that supposed to mean?" She smirked. "I have a credit card under your name." I froze. "What did you just say?" She shrugged. "Oh, don't look at me like that. It's not a big deal. I needed a new card and I couldn't get approved on my own, so I used your name. It's not like I maxed it out or anything." I felt my entire body go cold. She had stolen my identity. And she had done it so casually, so carelessly, like it was the most normal thing in the world. I turned on my heel and marched straight to my room. She called after me, but I ignored her. I shut the door, locked it, and immediately pulled up my credit report. And there it was, a credit card I had never applied for, sitting under my name, with a $7,500 balance. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through the transactions. Shopping sprees, takeout orders, gas station purchases. None of it was mine. She had been using my name, my credit, my future, and she hadn't even bothered to tell me. I sat there, staring at the screen, feeling like a complete idiot. I had spent years working hard, trying to be smart with my money, and she had been ruining my financial future behind my back the entire time. And the worst part? If I hadn't caught her, she would have kept going. That's when I decided I was done. If she wanted to steal from me, I was going to make sure she finally faced the consequences. The next morning I woke up early and went straight to the police station. I had screenshots of everything. The bank statements showing her withdrawals, the credit card bill, proof that I had never authorized any of it. I sat down with an officer and told him everything. He listened carefully, nodding along, and when I finished, he sighed. "Unfortunately, since she was a joint account holder, the withdrawals from your savings aren't technically considered theft. But the credit card? That's a crime. A felony, to be exact. I filed an identity theft report right then and there. The officer told me I'd need to follow up with my bank and the credit card company, but with a police report in hand, I had a good chance of getting the charges wiped off my record. I left the station feeling lighter than I had in weeks. My mom had spent years using me as her personal piggy bank. She had drained my savings, destroyed my trust, and laughed in my face when I confronted her. But now? Now she was finally going to learn what it felt like to lose everything. Filing the police report should have made me feel relieved, but I was still furious. My own mother had stolen my identity, maxed out a credit card under my name, and acted like it was no big deal. She thought she could get away with it. She thought I'd be too scared to do anything about it. She was wrong. After leaving the police station, I went straight to my bank to let them know what was going on. They took it seriously, way more seriously than I expected. Once I showed them the police report, they flagged the fraudulent credit card and told me they'd start an investigation. I also froze my credit and set up alerts to make sure she couldn't open anything else in my name. Next, I called the credit card company. The representative I spoke to was surprisingly helpful. Since this card was opened fraudulently, we can work with law enforcement to remove the charges, she explained. But you may need to press charges against the person responsible. I didn't hesitate. I already filed a police report. There was a brief pause. Oh, well, in that case, this process will be much easier. Good. I wanted it to be easy. I wanted my mom to feel the consequences of what she had done. But first, I needed to let her know that I knew everything. When I got home, my mom was in the kitchen, sipping coffee like it was just another normal day. I dropped my bag on the table and folded my arms. You opened a credit card in my name. She barely reacted. I already told you it wasn't a big deal. I pulled out my phone, scrolled to the screenshots of my credit report, and placed it in front of her. $7,500, I said. That's how much you racked up, and now you're going to pay for it, she frowned. What's that supposed to mean? It means I filed a police report, I said, watching her expression carefully. I reported you for identity theft. For the first time, she looked genuinely nervous. You did what? You heard me. She let out a sharp breath. Jesus, you're being dramatic. It's not like I murdered someone. No, I said, but you stole from your own daughter, and you didn't even care. Her lips pressed together. It's a joint account. I had access. I'm not talking about my savings, I cut in. I'm talking about the credit card, the one you opened under my name, the one you maxed out without telling me. Her face turned a little paler. That was a mistake. No, I said. It was a crime. For the first time, she actually looked scared. So what happens now? I grabbed my phone, pulled up the case number, and read it aloud. They're investigating. The bank and credit card company are involved. You committed fraud, Mom. That doesn't just go away. She stared at me. You wouldn't actually let them arrest me. I shrugged. That's not up to me. Her voice rose. I'm your mother, and you're a thief. She opened her mouth to argue, but I turned and walked away. I had nothing left to say to her. The fallout happened faster than I expected. The very next day, I got a call from an unknown number. When I answered, a woman introduced herself as a detective working on my case. We've spoken to the credit card company, she said. There's enough evidence to move forward. Would you be willing to press charges? I didn't even hesitate. Yes. She explained that since it was a felony amount, my mom could be looking at real legal trouble. Best case scenario, she'd have to pay it all back and get probation. Worst case, she could face jail time. I thanked the detective and hung up. My mom was about to find out exactly what it felt like to have something stolen from her. I didn't tell her about the phone call. I wanted her to find out the hard way. A week passed and she started acting weird. She was suddenly too nice, making dinner, offering to do my laundry, even asking if I needed anything when she went grocery shopping. It was unnerving. Then, one night, she knocked on my bedroom door. Can we talk? I didn't even look up from my laptop. What about? She hesitated. I know you're upset, and I don't want this to ruin our relationship. I let out a slow breath. There is no relationship. That clearly wasn't the answer she wanted. I'm your mother. No matter what happens, we're still family. I was just hoping we could work this out privately. I finally looked at her. Privately? She nodded. Yes. Without lawyers, without the police. Just us. I smiled. So you want me to drop the charges? She looked relieved. Yes, exactly. We don't need to make this bigger than it has to be. I tilted my head. And what about the money you stole? Are you going to pay it back? She pursed her lips. I don't have that kind of money right now. So, let me get this straight, I said. You want me to forgive you, drop the police report, and just accept that you screwed me over? She gave me a tight-lipped smile, the kind she always used when she was trying to manipulate me. That's what family does. We forgive. I stared at her for a long moment. Then I said, I think you should get a lawyer. Her smile vanished. She opened her mouth to say something, but I held up a hand. You stole from me. You committed fraud, and now you're dealing with the consequences. Her face twisted in anger. You're really going to do this? To your own mother? You did it to yourself. For the first time, she looked genuinely panicked. She stormed out of my room, muttering under her breath. An hour later, I heard her on the phone, whispering frantically to someone. I couldn't make out everything she was saying, but I caught a few words. Police case, serious trouble, lawyer fees. Good. She deserved to be scared. A few days later, I got another call from the detective. We've officially filed the charges, she said. Your mother will be served court papers soon. It was finally happening. For years, my mom had stolen from me, lied to me, and treated me like a piggy bank. Now, She was about to lose everything. The day my mom was served court papers was the most satisfying moment of my life. I was in the living room when it happened. She was halfway through watching one of her reality TV shows when there was a loud knock at the door. She barely spared me a glance before getting up to answer it. And then she saw the officer standing there with legal documents in hand. I watched from the couch as her face drained of color. "Ma'am, you've been formally charged with identity theft and fraud. These are your court summons. You need to appear in front of a judge within the next 30 days. I had never seen my mother look so small. She took the papers with trembling hands, and for a second she just stood there, completely silent. Then she shut the door and turned to face me, eyes burning with rage. "You did this," she hissed. I shrugged. "No, you did this." She slammed the papers onto the coffee table. "Do you realize what you've done? You're ruining my life." I raised an eyebrow. "Like how you ruined my finances?" She opened her mouth to argue, but then she stopped. Maybe she realized that there was nothing she could say to justify it. Maybe she finally understood that this wasn't something she could manipulate her way out of. Instead, she grabbed the court summons and stormed out of the house. I found out later that she went straight to my aunt's house, probably looking for sympathy or a place to stay. But my aunt wasn't interested. She had already heard the full story, and she had zero tolerance for my mom's crap. "She showed up crying," my aunt told me over the phone. "Tried to tell me you were overreacting and that you only did this to teach her a lesson." I scoffed. "Yeah, the lesson is, don't steal from your own kid." "Exactly," my aunt said. Anyway, I told her she was on her own. Good. She deserved to be. The court case moved faster than I expected. Since the evidence was overwhelming, bank statements, credit reports, police reports, the judge didn't waste time. My mom's only defense was that we were family, that it was just a misunderstanding, and that I shouldn't have gone to the police. The judge didn't buy it. She was found guilty of fraud and identity theft. She got 3 years of probation, had to pay back every cent she stole, and had a felony on her record. That meant no more easy loans, no more credit cards in other people's names, and no more financial manipulation. She was finally being held accountable. And me? I walked out of that courtroom free from the years of guilt, manipulation, and financial abuse. Free from wondering if my own mother was scheming behind my back. Free from being her personal piggy bank. I changed my phone number, moved out, cut her off completely. I haven't spoken to her since. She tried to reach out a few times. Pathetic messages from random numbers, fake apologies laced with manipulation and self-pity. But I ignored every single one. Because at the end of the day, she chose this. She chose to steal from me. She chose to betray me. She chose to ruin our relationship for some shopping sprees and luxury crap she didn't even need. So now, she gets to live with the consequences. And I finally get to live my life without her dragging me down.